Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Fort Friday. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, as always, the Fort, Michael McHenry. What's up, Mike?
Que pasa, mi amigo? How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. It's really nice out. I mean, again, as most of you probably know, I'm in Florida, Jacksonville. It is 80 degrees. I am loving it.
Are you just going to rub it in?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It actually was nice here today, just rainy. You know, we had a little bit of a blizzard, it felt like, for me at least, in Pittsburgh. But, you know, I had some sweet joy watching Tennessee get absolutely obliterated because all I hear is like, oh, is it so cold up in Pittsburgh? It's got to be so cold up there. You probably get snow every single day, blah, blah, blah. And they get more snow and their whole world shuts down when it snows an inch. Our world just keeps going. You know,
that's the funny thing.
The answer is get out there and get it done. School, you know, you may have a delay a little bit, give the kids a little bit of time to sleep in. That's why they do it. It's not because they can't get there. But in Tennessee, they shut everything down for a week. It's unbelievable. So, Tennessee,
I know, right? I was going to say, actually, I found out this past week, Fort, they don't even shut down schools anymore. There's like no more snow days. I mean, thanks to COVID, they now have the capability to do school from home. Man, I feel bad for these kids to not even know what a snow day is anymore. Man,
no, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad for them.
No,
don't feel bad for them. We all had our thing growing up. I mean, I had to walk to school both ways barefoot. I mean, it just is what it is. You know, like we have to deal with it. Exactly. Right. So whatever.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But yeah, it's a nice little week now. Yeah, that January thaw, they call it, right? Last week was cold as hell. I actually was in Savannah last week. I talked about it on the show on Monday, and I was cold for it. It was in the 20s. So right now that it's 80 some degrees, I'm feeling pretty damn good.
Yeah, that is nice. I was just in Florida, so I got to spend a little time at Bradenton, a little over a week, had a blast, and it was warm. It was rainy, but lost the championship too in fantasy camp. Me and Jack Wilson, we fell short. Last play, we lost it on. Tough.
No, how?
We hit a guy with the bases loaded.
Well, come on.
Yeah, well, it happens. We were running thin. Our 55-year-old legend, you know, was pitching with a bad hamstring, a bad knee, and probably a slightly torn Achilles. And he was having a hard time following through. So he muscled through and tried to do his best, but one ran up and in and, you know, hit their guy and we ended up losing. But hey, always next year. We'll be training all off season.
So how was that? Tell us a little about it. Again, because we talked a little bit beforehand, right? When Pirates Fest was going on, you were going to be down there for fitness camp. So how'd that go?
It was a blast. The schedule really had to change, and you know the guys were so adaptable. I mean, they're getting to live out their fantasy. You know, they show up and they see their jersey in the locker with their name on the back of it. We played 8 games. We were 6-2. We ended up losing the championship, like I said. And the best part is the very last day we play the campers. So yeah, Jack Wilson, me, KY, Cappy, all playing the campers. Cappy threw, I think, 4 or 5 innings. Jack Wilson was by far the MVP. Wow. He caught a couple innings, played shortstop, and he pitched, I think, 14 innings. My favorite part is last year they scored on us. I felt like we kind of, you know, maybe even allowed it. This year, they didn't get past second base, and I was very proud of that. Nice. Ended up catching about 19 innings. Had an absolute ball. Everything on my body cramped up. So now I'm trying to get in shape already for next year. Right before we got on, I was on the bike, you know, doing my miles. I have a certain amount of miles I'm trying to do every week in the new year. So yeah, it's a blast. I can't express enough for people that love baseball, and especially kids. If they get an opportunity to go watch these guys, they play through everything. I mean, when I say everything, I mean, we'll have stitches. They stitch them up and they throw them back out there. They're bleeding on the ball and they don't want to come out because like they love the game and they love being out there. And I think the purity of it is just absolutely incredible. And I think you can learn a lot from it, especially if you're a guy, you know, chasing your dream. And sometimes you forget, you know, when you're chasing that dream, it still is a game. Even though you're getting paid for it, still is a game. So some of the guys that were there training and stuff actually stayed and watched a little bit. And I hope some of the front office, you know, kind of pushed them to do so. But if I could have every single dude in the Pirates organization watch these guys get after it and see a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old catch 5 or 6 games and not complain and actually want more, you'd be so impressed. I mean, it's such an incredible thing, and I think it gives you incredible perspective.
Now, I'll be honest, some of the guys stayed after the game and watched. Scouting? I mean,
yeah, no doubt.
Might be able to use a catcher and a starting pitcher right now. So,
well, yeah, I was doing the Jim Harbaugh and trying to get, a little bit extra feedback in the other games. I'd filmed.
Yeah.
I had.
There you go.
People hiding. Exactly. I'm very competitive. And if you know Jack Wilson, me and him are on the same team. He's the manager. I'm the associate manager because they don't like me saying assistant coach. So I would say we're probably the two most competitive dudes down there. And we try to win every single game, but have fun at the same time.
Well, I'll say watch yourself on that, that filming, because you might have to catch yourself getting an NFL job next year so you don't get suspended.
Oh, come on. He chased the money. Let's go. Yeah. What else does he have to prove? Yeah. The reality of it is they're all cheating in some way. I think they slapped him on the wrist with Michigan. And I think he left because Michigan was the one that, put him on the sidelines, and he left because, hey, if you're going to treat me like that and not back me, why wouldn't I leave? So I respect his decision. I hate it for his guys because I saw how close they were, but I mean, the whole atmosphere of college sports has changed with the NIL. I mean, it's pretty much professional, and it's probably even harder when you look at how fast the turnover is. It's a free agent market immediately. Like, you don't have guys you can just, lock in for 3 or 4 years. They can go year to year. They can grab $1 million and bounce. It's wild. I mean, what Ohio State's done already is remarkable. I mean, I think they're up to $14-15 million that they've used of NIL money. They got to figure out a way to regulate it. It's going to change I think the entire game from top to bottom completely. And I don't know how they're going to, regulate it or handle it, maybe a decade from now. Because, eventually it's going to be 4 or 5 teams, and it's just going to be rotating guys in and out. It's going to change the landscape of pro sports as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean, I'm all about it. Like, good for the kids. Good for the kids,
but also their agents are getting paid 10-15% of those things. Those kids are getting abused and used as well.
And that's where the regulations have to come in. And I'm with you on that.
And I don't know who regulates it. That's the problem.
It'll happen.
It will in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
But it's wild, dude. It's because the whole idea was image and likeness, but now schools are just paying for these guys to come in. It's just blue chips. If you remember that movie when we were kids.
I love that movie.
Yeah, great. That's literally what it is. A car dealership's like, oh, I have a couple $1 million. I want our team to win next year. I want to bring in this guy. So you're not recruiting. You're literally saying, what does the donor want? Because the donor's got the cheese. He's going to throw the cheese out there and bring in his players. It's wild. It's wild. It's Wild Wild West, what it is. So,
well, it certainly is right now with money.
Yep. Even the Pirates spending money, huh? Big time money.
The Pirates are spending money. For the Pirates, not even just spending money. They gave a contract out to not even a closer, a reliever, not even a closer, a setup guy. And he's the highest paid player for the Pirates this year. Crazy. What world are we living in right now?
The different, I'm trying to figure out a best way to say this. The new age Pirates. I think Ben Sherrington and Bob Nutting and Travis all putting their money where their mouth is and saying, like, when we were ready and when this team was looking like it was turning in the right direction, we were going to, put backing behind it. And they're doing it in a lot of different ways. So I think going out, making sure Kutch gets back, getting all the arbitration stuff done really early. There wasn't any fight there. They didn't have to, try to lowball these guys. That they gave them what they were worth and moved on. I think they're still trying to sign Keller to a long-term deal, hopefully Bednar as well. And then you have, Chapman coming in. And I think him coming in as a Pirate is absolutely outstanding. I think he brings a veteran presence. He shows that you have longevity and you can sustain the ability to throw really, really hard with good stuff, but also get better. I mean, his split finger last year was absolutely annihilating when he really was aggressive out in front with it. So I'm excited to see him come in and be able to step in for Bednar, give Holderman a blow. But you think about those 4 guys, Majinski, Chapman, Holderman, and Bednar at the end, and you have one of the best strikeout guys and Big Bank filling in that sixth role. But the biggest thing for me, it's the depth it creates. Every time you sign a major league free agent, it pushes a really good player down back into AAA or into a role where they can maybe develop or grow a little bit more. But that means if somebody gets hurt, which is inevitable, or if they need to replace somebody, they have somebody with experience and somebody with stuff. I mean, that's the thing last year watching that bullpen. There was so much stuff. Even the dudes that did not maybe have the best numbers, their stuff was off the charts. I mean, you're seeing 98, 99, you're seeing electric breaking stuff. Yeah, they put themselves in some tough situations, but that's the things that can be developed over time, and that failure turns into growth for me in the big league. So I'm really excited about how good that bullpen is going to be.
So talk to me a little bit about that. So something I point out, and I think what you're kind of seeing here, and it might be premature to label it, right? Because there's, like you said, there's a lot of guys that have stuff, maybe haven't fully put it together. And I'll kind of put Holderman in that too. Holderman's filthy, but I don't think he's put it together to say like he is like a legit setup guy in MLB, like you're comfortable with. And I say that to the sense of like, when you go back to like the mid 2000s, when you go back to the bullpens of the Pirates that they used to have, which you were part of, right? Again, you want to talk about a nasty bullpen. Like if it's the sixth inning, it's over. It's done, you know? And I think like this has the potential of that bullpen. Like Holderman has the potential to be part of that unit and be one of those dudes, right? Last year he showed reasons, but I don't think it was put together the whole way to feel truly confident like he is that guy. But again, like with the Chapman signing, you have Bednar. Now Chapman, like everyone slides down a little bit. I kind of do look at this bullpen now and say like this really has the potential of becoming one of those units in like the mid 2000s. Again, the teams, the bullpens you're a part of with the Pirates. Do you see that right now?
I think
are they there yet?
I think it could be better. I think they're already better, to be honest. I mean, you have a two-time All-Star Bednar, really figured out who he is. And by signing a guy like Chapman, it's bringing in a guy that's done it all. He's pitched in every game, possible. He's pitched in just about every role possible. He's even started. And not only does he bring the big game experience, he brings kind of that ice in the veins experience. And he's been in this division more than any other division. So he comes in with a lot on the table to share with the Latin guys and the American guys. He speaks pretty good English. And I think the longevity of it is so important to talk about. This dude has been, almost invincible, knock on wood, throughout his career. And he continues to show how, dominant he can be at times. So bringing him in allows Holderman and Majinski and these guys to take a deep breath, because they don't have to step up in that whole role all the time, or the eighth inning role. He can fill in, he can close some, he can do some things that was asked of maybe Holderman in his first year, gets that experience to close a game, to do different things. But you can also set up it absolutely perfect. So say you have a bunch of nasty right-handers coming up, you want Holderman in the game, but now you have a left-right left matchup. Here comes Chapman, right? But now you have some guys that are low ball hitters and, really good with high velocity. You bring in Majinski, throwing at the top of the zone with the nasty color at the top of the zone. So you have a lot of options, but they're different options. And I think that gives you a Swiss Army knife of sorts down in the bullpen. But once again, it's the stuff that's so impressive. I mean, you look even down into the guys who were getting called up from AAA and the stuff that they had and the numbers they were putting up in AAA. It's swing and miss stuff. And when you have swing and miss stuff, you get out of your own jams. Really good things end up happening in the long run because you're not relying on a ground ball to the shortstop to end that inning. You have guys that can go in and get the swing and miss and just walk to the dugout.
And I'm with you right there. Like, that's the other thing that really gets me. And the fact, I mean, we know it's Chapman, right? But the fact, like, he is a lefty as well. That takes a lot off Bucco. That's what I talked about. Like, the one thing about this is Bucco had a really good year.
Great year.
Like, I had to eat my words. A really good year. Now, what I stated was,
think about Hernandez. Think about what it does for him.
And we'll get there too. But I don't know if I go in the batter's box and I fear Bucco, right? Bucco was good, put up good numbers. But I don't know if I'm standing there saying I fear this guy. I do with Chapman, So like, I think it helps out. Like, Bucco's not relied on to be the only, Hernandez we'll talk to, but like, he was the lefty. Now he can be used a little bit differently as well. And like, I feel like you talk about the matchups here. The fact that you're bringing in basically another closer who is a lefty, it just creates a lot of matchup nightmares, I think. And there's a lot of mix and match like you talk about. You can do with this. Like, I like it as a baseball move. I think this makes this bullpen much stronger. And that's what I'm going to go back to. And I'm not sure if I'm there yet. And I think it's because there's still some unproven, right? There's some filth, but we haven't truly put it together to stamp it yet. But like, I'm ready to I'm leaning towards like, this is like a 2012, 13, 14, 15 type of bullpen that's coming. And that's what I kind of like about this too, because it feels to me as if, and maybe we get your viewpoint on this also, you hear the Pirates are on this pitcher, Pirates on this pitcher. They really haven't gotten too many starting pitchers, not ones that really make an impact, right? Was this their way of potentially pivoting? Was it more or less like, hey, we're not, this offseason is going exactly the way we wanted to. So what if we just go at, not so much all in, but like put some chips on the table and made a strength, this complete strength? Is that what the Chapman like signing also represented? Or was this something they were kind of looking into all along also?
I'm sure they had a list of guys, and as you know, I think especially when Josh Hader came off the board, it opened up the door to like, all right, who's available and can we get him at this cost? Because those guys that were maybe looking at Hader kind of fall down, so they probably felt super aggressive that they needed to go after Chapman if that's the guy they wanted that they thought would fit into that role, and obviously that's exactly who they were. They got the best, in my opinion, other than Hader, they get the best left-hander on the market, and they can throw him into a time where we're not sure how many guys are going to be legitimate starters. So you got to think we're going to have a lot more opener type games, and with the depth we're creating, you're able to bring up guys, and Baracki's able to start early on. Hernandez could be in that sixth inning, and then you have a Chapman later in the game with a division that has some really good lefties. So I think it's a bold move. I think it shows that they're probably willing to spend some more money, maybe on a starter up to, 10, 11 million bucks in a given year. And who I think's out there that would be absolutely outstanding. There's also some other guys that I think would be good for our team and guys that could eat innings, because I think that's more of the importance moving forward going into this year. Because if you could keep all those young arms, you think about the guys that made the top 100, where there's 3 or 4 of them that were pitchers, top 100 prospects, they're pitchers with the Pirates. They're all going to be in AA, AAA, ready to make that move to the big leagues and be impact starters. So if you can keep those guys kind of, I guess, comfortable and growing and developing, but not overexposing them in the big leagues like we've had to do the last couple of years, you're going to bring them up and they're going to be ready. And that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, is bring them up when they're running forward. And then you think about JT's coming back, and he'll probably be back full force in May. And they have Mike Burrows coming back, who will probably be full force, maybe even earlier than May. So you have a lot of good arms coming through ready to go. So if you can maybe manage their workload well, you're looking in June, July at maybe flipping the script, but you still have those guys that are willing to eat innings, or you could flip them and get something else that you need. But having a really strong bullpen has proven to work in Pittsburgh time and time again. And I think looking back to last year, how many guys we had to use, I think they're going to do the same thing. I think it's going to be a revolving door in Indianapolis of guys coming in and out, filling up innings, 2 here, 3 here, 2 here, 3 here, and they'll go back down. That's what Tampa Bay did when I was with them in 2017, and they kind of started some trend that's never stopped in the opener and the bullpen day, because you can really manage guys' innings, and maybe they're former starters, maybe they're guys like JT. He throws 2 innings, and then 3 days later he throws 2 innings. So you can really get innings out of guys and maybe maximize their potential, not have to see them go that third time through by doing that. So you have an advantage in a lot of different ways. So I think they're being very strategic. They're being different. I still think they're going to go out and either trade or sign, hopefully both starters, and create even more of a competition and depth going into spring training, because I think it's so important.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, you did say something. There's a guy that you really want. Who's the free agent that you would love to see?
Bauer. I mean, he's a top 10 pitcher in the world.
Gotcha.
He said it. I agree with it. I don't think you can find a better guy, and he wants the opportunity. And I think you could get him with just about any type of contract you want. I think you need to pay him. I think that's out of respect, and it could be incentive based, and then have a mutual option going forward. But think about having a guy with that capability at 33 years old, who's coming off an all-star season, one of the best guys in Japan last year. He's kept his nose clean, his mouth shut, and he just wants to pitch. And I think he'll be good for the young guys. Every team he's been on has gotten better. And you cannot say, especially after the Diamondbacks, because he grew up, and as much as he's fought against Manfred and MLB and some of the changes, he's kind of taken the back seat. He's stopped that. He's held his own when it comes to people coming after him and not gone forward with maybe attacking others, which maybe is back into his character a while back, but he's just completely changed. And I think forgiveness is warranted. I believe in grace and forgiveness, and I think this guy could come in and really help. And I think the Pittsburgh nation would really embrace this dude. I mean, you're talking about, outside of Garrett Cole, the best pitcher we would have in a Bucco uniform in the last decade or two. So I think it'd be really special. And having him be able to pour into Skeens, I don't know if you could ask for a better person to be able to balance being a first rounder, having elite stuff, and maximizing your stuff year in, year out, and continue to get better, because that's what Skeens got to do. So eventually he's not going to be 98, 99. He's got to learn how to pitch and refine those pitches. And he's got the stuff, he's got that ability, and he wants to. You put him around someone that's an expert in maximizing his potential, and Trevor Bauer, I think it's only a benefit.
So let's get into it, because this is a hot topic for NS9 this week. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Neil wrote an article, kind of set things ablaze. And I'll say this, I mean, you can definitely admit this, right? Whether side you think of or whatnot, how you think of him in the pitcher or whatever, certainly a polarizing topic and player. And I feel like everyone has an opinion, right? Mm-hmm. So we talked last night, Tyler, myself, and Jim, about Trevor. Right now we're recording this Thursday. You're watching it Friday, but there's also a show that just aired earlier today on Friday that Ryan and Geddes talked about this same scenario as well. So I want to talk about, but we had a question here. It's a perfect segue into it. So let's go play the question. We can talk, bring that up, and let's talk about this a little more.
Yeah, I'm wondering for if you were in the clubhouse for the Pirates, if they were to sign Bauer this offseason, would you personally have any ill will towards the guy and, in a sense, not want to be teammates with him, or does that not matter to you? Or do you think? Do you think it matters to other players? Thanks.
I think it's a really good question, because a lot of stuff that we talked about, I personally was on the side of, I just don't want to bring it in here. You know what I mean? Like, I think I talked for 8 minutes solo about the situation. So I'm not going to bring a whole 8 minutes, but kind of summarize it. It's just not everything has been resolved yet. There's still pending cases out there. And my perspective, right? And I say it's my perspective, it's on the outside. And that's why I think having you on here and this perspective of that is very helpful, because you've been on the inside. You've been in the clubhouses, right? But my perspective on the outside is, seems like every team he's gone to, he hasn't left on good terms. And like the scenario brought up was Kutch, like a great play, like great example here. You talk about veteran presence, right? And we talk about how like this team needs veteran presence for how long. Kutch is that guy. Kutch made so much sense. Of course, he's from here, but like Kutch embodies everything this clubhouse needed and this team needs, right? Everywhere Kutch went, he left, he was loved. And I'm not sure if I see that in Trevor Bauer, right? Now he goes over the Japan, has all this. I'm not so sure if I'm seeing the path to redemption as well. Again, like the example I brought up last night too was Michael Vick. Like Michael Vick did some really egregious stuff, right? Went to jail, paid his dues, came out, and he made an effort to change his image, do everything. He was a big advocate for everything that he represented beforehand to change that, right? Got a second chance, earned that opportunity. And again, I said, I'm sure that like ownership, like everything top down, had that conversation with him. You have that one-on-one with the man, you find out who he is, and you go forward. And to me, it just seems as if, and especially since 30 teams are out there with the ability to sign him, and sounds like they're really not touching him, makes me kind of feel like what I'm hinting to is probably true. So now, right, like the floor is yours here. With that question, my biggest thing too was like the clubhouse. Like, do I want to bring that into the clubhouse with a very young, impressionable team right now? Kutch, yes, right? Trevor Bauer, I'm not sure. So why just not just don't do it?
There's a lot that has to happen behind the scenes. But bringing in the clubhouse, the guy, when he shows up to play, he plays. I think most of his problems have been outside of the clubhouse. And he's shown for over a year plus, I guess it'd almost be 3 years now, hey, I'm doing things right. I mean, he's always given to charity. He's always given back. He's been a guy that's been adamant about growing the game. And did he do it in some manners that people didn't like? Absolutely. But once again, like, when's enough? And the guy's proven to me, and I believe a lot of others. I mean, Mookie Betts came out and said what a great teammate he was. And you can say he left the Dodgers in ill will, but he didn't. He left because of an allegation. And because, they pretty much forced him out of the game, and was one of the longest, restricted players in history, not guys that have failed drug tests 2-3 times or thrown families under the bus that have gotten death threats. I mean, this guy got allocated for something. He proved that his innocence, but he was guilty from the get-go because of who he was and how outspoken he was. And that is what it is. But I think once he walks in the clubhouse, he's a competitor. He's going to be great for the guys. And if he's not, you put that in his contract. You put in his contract and make sure that, hey, you are on a short leash. You need to prove yourself. And he will. I really believe that, because Japan is one of the hardest places to play when it comes to, making sure that you're showing your manners, your values, your principles. They play a customary game that's completely different than ours. Like, you're not going to see, occasionally you're going to see the bat flips, but that's just now getting into Japan because they didn't want to ever disrespect the game or disrespect the person they're playing. So he went over there and showed something, and they fell in love with this dude. He was a fan favorite. He gave back to the community. And I think you have to look at what he's done. And once again, he is represented by a female who has not left him from the get-go, not 1 second as she left. And that says something to me that, hey, this guy has done everything in his power to prove not only to baseball, his teammates in Japan, other guys coming out to speak for him, but also his agent who could have left him in a heartbeat. And she was still going to get that retainer back. I mean, it wasn't going to change anything, but she's been outspoken. And I think you just have to put it in the contract. There's a lot of guys in the NFL that have had allegations that have been proven, that have, they fought against, and they've been on the right side of it, wrong side of it, and they get a chance. And you don't hear a lot after that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I think somebody's got to give them a chance, and why not the Pirates? And I really believe that whatever you're scared of as a front office, you bring him in, you talk to him. And if you have to bring him 2-3 times, great. If you have to put him on a short leash, great. But give him a chance. Like I said, I really believe in forgiveness and grace. And this guy's been through a lot. I mean, there's nobody that's lost more than him. And that's the toughest thing for me to look at and say, we're witnessing one of the best pitchers in our lifetime not be able to pitch in the game. And he's lost, $50 to $100 million, if not more. And he's literally kept his mouth shut. He hasn't pushed back. He got kind of screwed when it comes to, his restricted list and the arbiter that, pushed him off to the side when, our courts didn't find him guilty, but baseball did. I mean, it's been a tough draw for him all the way through. What he did or didn't do is beside the point. It's the fact that we're 3 years past it. Where are we going to move forward? Somebody's going to sign this dude. I don't know who it will be, but why not the Pirates? We need him just as much as anybody. And I think giving him a chance, if it works, it's legendary. I mean, think about it. It'd be the best signing free agent wise that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Ever. And I'll go to this. People didn't like Bonds. Dude's a Hall of Famer. And I hope he's put in the Hall of Fame with the Pirates this year. And I hope it pushes so hard back at the Hall of Fame, in Cooperstown. Because right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever he did or didn't do, there's plenty of dudes that did that nobody knows about. And the reality of it is, it's like, it's part of the game. So just make it part of the game. And I think with Trevor, just make it part of who he is. Let's move forward. Let him try to have redemption. And if he does, let it be in a Pirate uniform. So we get the benefit of that dude's arm and that dude's mind and his ability to, change. And I'll go back to what you said. He did not leave Cincinnati in a bad way. He left as a Cy Young. And remember, the Dodgers paid him the highest contract in free agent history.
But is it fair to say, I mean,
and those dudes do their due diligence. So yeah, did he so I want to make sure that he didn't leave in ill terms on that.
Yeah. Okay. And it's, to be fair, you did bring up Arizona. You said after Arizona, because Arizona absolutely, I mean, Miguel Montero certainly had some words about him.
Yeah.
But in Cincinnati, he throws the ball over the fence. He gets traded to Cleveland. I didn't hear about Mookie Betts, so that's something different. Again, you're more inside of baseball, right? So that's why I want to hear your viewpoint. It's like, do you hear players advocating for him, people advocating for him? And then again, the aspect, I think this is a great question too, the aspect of the clubhouse. What do you see as far as that dynamic? Think about, you're sitting in the Pirates clubhouse right now and Trevor Bauer comes in. Is there a message to be sent? Is there do you guys talk this through? What's the approach? Because again, and I say this, he is polarizing. So I'm assuming, not that this matters. I wanted to kind of get the viewpoint too, feel out. So I put a poll on Twitter and it was legit 51%, 49%. Bring him in or not. I mean, like I said, this is as polarizing you get. So I could imagine 26 guys. There's probably also different viewpoints on there. So what happens in a clubhouse if Trevor Bauer were to be signed? What would you anticipate?
Nothing.
Especially
with you sign Chapman, you have Bednar, who's a veteran now. You're putting together a group of guys, especially when it comes to arms. You have Keller that can kind of manage the clubhouse, and he doesn't have to do anything. He could just be another dude that just comes in and throws. He does have a big personality. He's going to get super enthralled into just about everything, I would assume. And I think he'll do it in a positive way because he did it last year in Japan and he wants to make this work. It's not like he wants to come in, he's hooting and hollering that I deserve this, I deserve that. He's literally pitching, for himself on news outlets. Anybody that'll take him and allow him to speak, he's just begging to get back into the game. And there's plenty of players that are speaking out for him now because it's been long enough and there's been enough allegations that have been squashed. And you can almost say that some people think he was the victim, whether he's not or is, doesn't matter to me. I think showing up to a clubhouse, no matter your past, it's who you are right now. And if you show those guys that you're going to go out and give everything you have and you care about the dudes around you, nothing else matters. Nothing. And if you do that day in, day out, that I guess goodwill just builds. And that's what I hope to see, no matter what team he goes to. And I hope he gets a chance because I don't ever want to see that happen again. I hate what baseball's done with the steroid era. There's no other era that had issues. And there's no other era. I mean, there's plenty of people that probably didn't get caught that are in the Hall of Fame, and it is what it is.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's just looking at it and saying, let's call it what it is. It was a different era. There was problems. We probably maybe fed into this issue pretty bad. Maybe we should take some blame.
There's no probably. They certainly did.
They certainly did, but they're never going to say that.
Right.
And the same thing could be said with Trevor Bauer. They fed that issue just as much as it happened. They polarized that issue as much as humanly possible because it was out in front constantly. And they came down on him with every hammer possible. And it wasn't just one-sided. It was only sided. And that's tough. So guy's been out in left field. I hope he gets a chance, whether it's with the Pirates or not. Like I said, I hope it works. If it doesn't, I'll be first one to say, I hate that happened, but it's not proving me wrong or right. It's the fact that I want to see grace. I want to see forgiveness. I want to see a guy that's really good at baseball get an opportunity, especially after 3 years.
Gotcha. Fair. Look, again,
and being a Pirates fan, why would I not want him to be a Pirate?
As long as he's good.
Well, I think he's proven that he's good. I mean, he's throwing 95, 96 in bullpens right now.
Right.
So I feel pretty confident that that'll go okay.
Cool. No, I like that. Appreciate it. And I don't know who sent that message. They didn't say their name, but great question. I'm glad you asked question. It.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it is something that should be talked about. And like I said, there's other free agents, but there's not a better free agent. So if you can justify signing Syndergaard for $4 million instead of Trevor Bauer for $4 million, okay, cool. If that's what you want, but I don't know if that's what you want. if you're trying to be the best team possible. I mean, thinking about having Mitch Keller, Trevor Bauer, 1-2 punch, ouch. Like nobody wants to see that in the league. Nobody. And I don't know if it'll happen. I really don't. But if it does, I'll be happy and I'll pray every day that it works out and that dude makes an impact in the community.
No, and again, like I'm not going to discount the baseball. Like you talk about Mitch Keller and Trevor Bauer, like that is a absolute solid, if not really good, 1-2 punch. Yeah. And again, like this, and I think again, like that's why this is such a polarizing topic right now, because the position the Pirates are in, like they need starting pitching, and he is out there. So yeah, that's certainly why we've been talking about it a lot lately, because it's time, So but yeah, no, I appreciate your insight on that. I did want to ask something.
I use one thought? I got to play with Josh Hamilton.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's a great example, because there's a lot that people don't know. You give a dude a chance, you never know. And his life's been really hard after baseball. And he's lost his family, and hopefully that's changed over the last couple of years. But like, I just think about guys like him. Think about the kid that, he ended up drinking and driving, and he was in the World Series last year with Texas. I can't think. I think he was with the Brewers some last year too. Shortstop, came a pitcher. Can't think of him.
Yeah, we talked about last show too. And
both guys I played with, and I just think about those dudes. They got a chance, and the man, they were. There's nobody on the planet that was more disappointed in them. And I think that's what you could say about Trevor Bauer. If you sit down and talk to him, and he had a one-on-one with Nutting and Sherrington and Travis Williams, and they really sat in a room, this dude knows he messed up, and not just from the allegations, just from, being a kid and thinking, he had to be something that he didn't have to be. And I think he's grown up from that, and you don't know until you know. So I think that's where it really comes in my heart. The passion is like, I don't want to miss out on a possible, all-star type arm coming to Pittsburgh and falling in love with it and saying, I want to stay here, and I'll stay here for less money, because he's not chasing money. He wants to be great in this game and remembered for, being great, not for what he's being remembered for. So I just think about that so much, because once Hamilton went to Texas, he never left. He was never going to go anywhere else. And I think that's important to remember, because once he felt comfortable, he felt like that was a place that embraced him, loved him, and gave him that opportunity. He was going to give everything he had. And I watched that dude fight and claw trying to get back on the field his last year, and it was incredible. He's like, yeah, I owe it to them. He didn't owe them anything, but in his mind, he did. And that's why I think maybe I push a little bit harder, because I've seen it work time and time again, and I've seen what it's done to guys that didn't get back in the game. I've seen guys really fall off the rails in a bad way just because they didn't understand why it was happening to them. I don't think that's going to happen to Trevor, but I've seen that in other cases. So I hope it works out for him. I hope he gets a chance and he can redeem his career and himself. And if it doesn't work out, everybody was right. That seems to think they know what's going to happen before it could happen. But like I said, I would love to see a type of arm like that come in and do his thing and prove everybody wrong in a Pirates uniform, and us be like, yeah, we gave him a chance, and we hope to make him a Pirate for life. It'd be so sick.
I'll say this though, something that stood out is like the last part you said, how you've seen it time and time again. That's why you root for that guy and such. And like the one thing I talked about is just no matter what side you're on, what I don't get is how you can like yell at a person because of like their thought process on this, because everyone has certainly different personal experiences that can lead them. Again, like I talk like, if that was your mom, your sister, your daughter, I could fully understand why someone might not want to, like what you said there. I appreciate that also, because I can respect, because you're coming to the viewpoint of you've seen this too often. You kind of respect that. And again, like I can see why, you certainly look at that side point as well. But yeah, so again, like I really appreciate that, insight here and talk, and we'll see what happens, I guess.
and like you said, if you're completely against what I'm saying, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying they have to sign him. I'm saying, like, I feel like we have a good enough front office and we have great people that can draw up a contract to protect the players in the clubhouse, protect the community in a way that they feel necessary, but also feel like we have a bunch of dudes that see a guy that wants to play, that has proven some things that could maybe give him some grace and lead him to a positive thing. Why not that be the community in Pittsburgh? Because we're Pittsburghers, right?
Yeah.
We're Yinzers. Like, we'll help you get to where you need to go. Like, we'll watch your back. And if you do something wrong, we'll be the first to throw you out of here. And I think that's okay to say, being a guy that lives here now is like, hey, we have a high standard. We want something out of you. You show it, we're going to love you. If you don't, we're going to kick you out of here. And I think why not be here? I think a small market is a great place for him to start. And I really believe if it works out, he'd be all in to be here for life. And I'm perfectly fine if it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, when you look at the ability out there, you cannot match his ability.
Fair enough. So I want to ask you something else, and it kind of goes backwards, and it feels like an ill will transition, but I promise it's not for that sense. But going back to Chapman, okay, because we talk about the clubhouse. And I think this is actually something to really talk about. I think you're a good person to talk about this too, as well, because you also endured those seasons. So this Chapman signing also seems kind of weird for fans. And again, I don't have to talk about the domestic violence part. What I'm specifically talking to you apart is, again, the clubhouse, the fanhood, you tried to murder Andrew McCutchen. And Andrew McCutchen is in that clubhouse right now, and you're on that team. I want to ask you, if you don't know, it's fine as well, but was there any dialogue with Kutch about hey, we're going to sign Chapman?
No, there was no dialogue.
No,
nothing. But they were teammates in New York.
Well, I know they were teammates, but I'm assuming also the Yankees don't really care about whatever bad blood or whatever happened.
No, but I think it was resolved there. I think they were able to talk and get to know each other. And too, he knows it makes the team better. So I think his heart is to win and to be as good as possible, and knows that this guy's an uber competitor. And that was a time where, it was a battle between the two. And he was always going to be the dude that got hit, because we were hitting the middle of their lineup. They were going to hit our middle lineup, and right, wrong, or indifferent. I think Chapman would be the first to say, I didn't want to do it. I hated doing it, but it was where we were at. And, Kutch was as mad as all get out, but he understands, competitive nature of this game. And that's part of it. Was it okay? Absolutely not. But once again, I love the game policing itself. I love how the game has a funny sense of humor like this. And there's a chance that these dudes are hugging as we're, winning the wild card. I mean, just think about that. You go all the way back to 2013.
Wow.
I'm just saying, to make it wild card.
We're not going to be in the wild card.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Going back to 13, wild card. That was the year it all went down, and that would be epic for me. And I think that's what's so cool about the game is it's a giant family, and when you put on that same uniform, you're fighting for your brother next to you, and it's not what happened in the past. It's kind of forgotten and moved on. And I think that's exactly where those guys are at. I texted Kutch right after he signed, and he's like, "Yeah, crazy." And just like me, we both think we'd love to see another starter, but thinking about the depth that we have in the bullpen is remarkable, because if you can get the ball to him, you're probably going to win.
Cool. No, it's funny you said that too, because I feel like that was everyone. You saw Chapman sign, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened here?" Then you're like, "Kutch." That was everyone's second thought. I feel like wait a minute.
And I don't even think it was even a thought in the front office. I don't even think they may not even know about it, honestly.
Okay.
And
cool.
And I like that, and I hate that at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I think the tradition here and the fan base and everything holds that tight. The grudges and the competitiveness. I think they hold that in a way that you want to embrace it as much as possible. So I think bringing it to light or just talking about it would have been really cool. But yeah, I don't think they even had a second thought or even knew about it, honestly.
That's fair. Probably likely. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. So we'll get back to some more questions here. This one's pretty interesting. So we have a voicemail from Kyle. And as you see it here, it's labeled the Bucco Gridiron. So this is going to be fun and interesting.
What's going on, Fort? It's Kyle. My question for you here today, in honor of the NFL playoffs. If you had to put together an 11-man offense made entirely comprised of former Pirates players, who would be on your roster?
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
Fort, 11-man roster, former Pirates. Now you have a plethora of players, right?
Mhm.
Long-standing Pittsburgh Pirates organization here. Who are you putting on this 11-man roster?
Well, we're not going to have the size, right? So you're obviously.
I don't know. Are you sure?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, think about. I mean, you got Hanrahan, who we put in the box up front. You have Bednar, who you put right out there. I think. But now that we have Chapman, I think he'd be an incredible receiver. An absolutely incredible receiver. You have Marte would be a great receiver. Kutch, I'd throw out there as a maybe even a halfback for Kutch. Jay Hay would be my running back, the way he can dance and move.
Ooh.
Maybe even fullback if I'm not the fullback. But yeah, I think we would make a really good team. I think the hardest thing to pick would be the quarterback. I feel like Tony Watson would be an absolute dime piece quarterback. If not, he'd probably be my tight end. I'd put Jared Hughes on the line as well. I think he'd be a little bit psychopath, so I'd put him on the edge to make sure that like he was, a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You know what I mean?
I like that one.
I think he'd be barking.
He's
at
not
people.
there.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. He's crazy enough to do it.
Yep. And Daniel McCutcheon would be another slot receiver right next to Kutch. I kind of rotate them out. We'd definitely run a spread 100%. So, I mean, you think about, we have a lot of dudes that can throw. So, but if Tony Watson was not my quarterback, he'd definitely be my tight end. 6'4", big, broad shoulders, really aggressive more than you think. And then that would probably put AJ Burnett as my quarterback.
Yeah.
And then I'd put Rod Bras at center.
Okay.
Right? You see that? And then you have to put Russell Martin somewhere. And maybe another I don't know.
Ooh. Russell, that's underrated. I didn't think about Russell.
Yeah, he'd probably have to be either, maybe he's like a Wes Welker type. Like he just kind of goes on the radar, but he catches everything and he's smarter than everybody
athletic.
else.
He's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I mean yeah. I mean, honestly, he'd probably be a great safety. Looking back at it, if he's on defense. I mean, but I'm just talking about offense.
Right, and that's what this was alluded to, is just offense. Yeah, because in my mind too, I'm thinking there's a lot of guys I love on defense.
Yeah, a lot of guys I love on defense. Like thinking about Jay Hay,
one of them.
Yeah, Travis Snyder, absolutely. I put him in the box immediately, or he'd be a linebacker, just hitting people. But Jones Garrett Jones would be an incredible tight end, or a defensive end. Polanco. Do you imagine that wingspan coming at you? Come on. So yeah,
okay.
I think we could put together a decent team.
I like that.
Steve Pierce would be a linebacker for me. Underrated speed, really aggressive. I think Ryan Doman would probably be a linebacker. I think he would hurt people. Just the eyes in general.
Him and Snyder, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm not running up. I'm not rushing up the middle.
Right.
We're going all outside.
Yeah. You have Lunchbox and the Undertaker. Let's go.
Yeah. We're done.
Absolutely. And then underrated athlete, Joe Beimel.
Really?
Yeah. Joe Beimel, very underrated athlete. I would think, there's a lot of dudes, especially when you think about the type of offense we could run, because we could all throw a football, right? You could just kind of just throw the ball to anybody, and if they're going to be able to throw it downfield. So you can get really tricky. And Alex Presley would be my kicker.
Wow, you're going deep here. You're going kickers even.
Well, he was a guy that could have played collegiately soccer. And if you've never seen him kick, dude can kick. He could punt. He could kick. But yeah, I would definitely put him in there. I'd be backup unless there's somebody better, because I wanted to kick in college, but didn't work out. Yeah, because I grew up with the Colquitts. Yeah, I grew up with the Colquitts. Yeah, they're going to teach me how to punt. Yeah, because I played soccer as a kid, goalie, and I had a good foot. But little guys usually didn't punt. And he was just going to teach me how to punt good enough to hopefully get a dual scholarship. Because I could kick as a normal kicker, but I didn't know how to punt. But if you can do both, going to a smaller college at Middle Tennessee, I would have been fine. So yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's interesting to know.
Right.
I like all that. I'll tell you where my head goes. So we actually
go.
agree on AJ. AJ at quarterback, absolutely. Because you know what? He would be like the absolute gunslinger too, I feel like. He's not going to play safe. We're going for scoring.
You know, also be probably really good, Jay Hay. And then obviously
Really?
Neil Walker was a great wide receiver. Let's not forget about him.
I was gonna catch you on that. I'm like, come on, man. You're talking about the Pittsburgh kid, not even put him on the team, let alone at one of your wide receivers. So yeah.
So
my mind went to Marte, like you are on the outside, you're a receiver as well. I mean, just too athletic, just too much of a specimen, right? Kutch, the Florida boy. I mean, he's gonna have to play somewhere skill set. I like them at running back like also too, because I mean he's a little thicker. He's got that speed. Like I get himself back there. And then again, like Neil Marte on the outside there. I had Mike Lavalier at my center.
Oh, he's on the line, no doubt.
Oh yeah, he's my center.
Yeah. Okay. Rod Barajas, right next to him, offensive tackle, maybe.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
What I said, your reason 2 behind your tight end made less sense. I went Josh Bell because I'm just like, I mean,
I see him a defensive player.
Well, again, I agree. That's why I said
when
my mindset was a lot of defensive guys, but this was just offense, right? But honestly, I'm like he could easily be the left tackle, but I just feel like he's just too much of an athlete to be there. But he's my tight end because he's basically a secondary left tackle who's also just going to just plow everyone over and get the ball. But yeah, so like I said, Marte, Neal, and then my third receiver was going to be Polanco because I hope less Wrigley events. You need to not drop passes. But I mean, come on, that size, just throw the ball. Like he's like relating to Pittsburgh, he's like your Plexico. Just throw the ball up there.
I like it.
That's where I went with that, though. But I like yours, too. You had some deep cuts there also.
Yeah, because I was thinking about offensive defense when we first, started talking about it. I was thinking about, an 11-man roster. If you had to play guys both offensive defense, you want as many skilled guys as possible. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But what I'll say, though, is I feel like that's a talented football team right there.
Yeah. I mean, we'd be way undersized, but we'd be okay.
There you go. I like it. Cool. Yeah. So then I guess we have just one more question here for it.
Hey, I'd like to place an order for pickup. I'd like a large pepperoni pizza with extra pepperoni, 20 medium buffalo wings, and an order of mozzarella sticks. The order name is Brad13. Thanks. Bye.
Oh, maybe it was the wrong number.
Well, first off, no address. No credit card number? Brad, we got to figure this out, big guy. And is that all for you?
It could be. Mean, that's a lot. That's a big order. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And from what I heard, money's not coming to him very often.
No?
Right? Yeah. That's the rumor. I heard he's looking for a job. What are you doing to get $80 orders in, Brad? Jeez Louise.
I don't know how Brad can afford $80 pizza orders and wings. And the price of wings these days,
and mozzarella stick. He got 2 appetizers. He better be having a Super Bowl party. And I feel kind of disappointed we were invited. No address, no credit card number, no tip, nothing. Just an order.
Well, we know no tip. He's got no job.
Yeah, those guys should be sensitive to those hardworking people out there that are going to deliver that pizza. And with your last name, it's going to be great pizza.
I know.
Right?
I know. Actually, I do make a good pizza, by the way. I've put out there on Twitter. I'm a pizza snob also, by the way. I'll just put it out there. I detest bad pizza, and bad pizza is a thing.
So a large pepperoni for you is at least $50.
Right?
Yeah.
Those wings and mozzarella, yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Sorry, Brad. No pizza for you, buddy.
Yeah, go eat some hot dogs, Brad. How many can you eat at a NASCAR event? I want to know. Let us know. We are standing above 20 with I believe Kyle it was. So yeah, I want to know how many can you eat?
I honestly I can't wait for us to do this one day.
Yeah,
I can't wait for us to try those hot dogs.
And Jim will pay for the hot dogs because he's still cursed.
There it is.
Yep.
Awesome.
Jim's my Matt Damon. Got to mention him every time.
It's absolutely thing. I feel like on every show we're talking about hot dogs and Jim in some capacity.
Yeah, and now Brad, you've kind of fallen into this. So
there it is.
Maybe he should be an Uber driver. He'd go pick up his own wings.
Get his own pizza.
Yeah.
That
win-win.
Always thinking for it, man of the people.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Brad. Just trying to help out the people.
There it is.
So
well, that was all the questions this week. But again, as always, a really good show. I loved everything we talked about. And for you guys that want to ask a question, again, as always, give us a call. Leave it on the voicemail 412-626-7479. We can have Fort answer yours, comment, or pick up your pizza orders. So that's that. So hey, Fort, once again, appreciate you coming on. Have this talk. We'll be on again sometime next few weeks. And hey, we're also like 3 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Baseball season's coming.
I can't wait. I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be a good year. I think this year's gonna tell us a lot. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. So thanks for having me. Another good show.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm.
It's back in my blood now. Like baseball season's back. I'm getting real pumped up. No matter what the Pirates do right now, I'm excited baseball is coming back.
Yeah, it's because it's 80 degrees right now. We're in hockey weather up here. That's what we are.
Don't hate.
It's easy. I'm sorry.
You can enjoy it in a few weeks too.
Touche.
There it is. I'm just keeping it warm for you. That's all. I'm just keeping it warm for you.
Thank you. And in the meantime,
man of the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, if there's anybody out there that knows how to cure a curse, we're looking for somebody for Jim, maybe some hash or whatever we have to do. We light it on fire, go around his house, whatever we have to do. Let's make sure we get that to go away prior to that first game in March. We need to get that done. Jim,
yes,
we hope the best for you and hope this curse dies.
So 412-626-7479. Give us your curse recipe so we can absolve Jim from all his terrible sins, whatever's led him to this curse. I don't know. Something's happened to this lifetime or the previous ones.
Exactly. Go to more Cincinnati games, Jim.
Just not when the Pirates are playing.
Yeah, exactly. And if they start winning, even worse.
Well, let's get out of here. Appreciate everyone for watching. We'll be back again. Bye-bye.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.